What's up, guys? Welcome back to the GPL, the Generations Pokemon League. Today we're going to be taking on the Cortland Red Gyarados and Cool Trainer Gavin. For those of you who may be confused, we did not have a battle last week because Purple Fire did have to take a forfeit due to scheduling issues between the two of us. We had a few planned times to go and it had to be canceled, so Purple decided to take the forfeit. So we are currently 2-2 in the league. Hopefully I'll have a video explaining that up at some point, probably before this battle, possibly. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that, but we're going to be starting off this battle with Cool Trainer Gavin and the Cortland Red Gyarados. So his team's very interesting, and I decided that he was probably going to go for a Stealth Rocks, so I switch into Tapwater, the Tapu Fini. I go into her first, go for a Scald to try to scare out whatever, or burn whatever comes out, because I knew that was not going to stay in. He goes into his Florges, doesn't get the burn. That sucked. That kind of sucked. I was a little upset about that. But my best bet is to just switch into Drop Top and go for a Stealth Rock. He was probably expecting me to go for either Overheat or Lava Plume, but I wanted to get the Stealth Rocks up just to see if we could, and just hopes of possibly dealing a bit of damage. So we go for Stealth Rock. I'm not 100% sure on what he's going to do. I was kind of expecting him to switch out at this point. I was expecting him to go into Heatran to try to get a Flash Fire, because obviously that was really what it was going to be done, like if he went into Heatran. But he goes for a Moonblast, so I set up the rocks. At this point I kind of thought maybe he's sacking it off, maybe he's not going to switch. So I kind of take my chances and go for a Lava Plume, in hopes that he'll stay in. He switches into his Heatran, gets the Flash Fire, the Sun's Up. Any fire type move it hits me with is going to hurt beyond belief. So I just kind of go for an Earth Power in hopes that on the off chance I'll live. Torkoal doesn't have the best special defenses though, so it didn't exactly happen, unfortunately, in the end. But at this point, at this point it's not a good idea to try and save certain mons, especially when there's a Flash Fire, Sunny Dade, Heatran on the other side of the field. So at this point, our best bet is to go into Escargot, which is Choice Banded, and hopefully an Earthquake would be able to kill. But I wasn't 100% sure on if it would even live or not. So at this point, I really only have like so many options. There's really not much I can do. Earthquake is my only real bet. I go for the Earthquake. He switches into Florges, which doesn't take the hit too well. It did live though, so I was not about to risk it outspeeding me and hitting me with a Moonblast. That was just not what I wanted to do. So really I didn't have any other choice. I go into Jirachi because Jirachi is the best mon to take a hit, and that's really the only good choice I have. So I go into Jirachi. He switches into his Donphan. I wasn't 100% sure on what would happen. I wanted to check damage calcs to see if I would be able to eat a hit or not. In the end, not probably gonna happen. So really in the end, my only real best bet would have been to probably switch out into a different mon. I just wasn't sure which one would be my 100% absolute best bet. I go into Tapwater just to be safe, because really nothing else he has can really deal with Tapwater too much. He goes for the Stealth Rock though, so at that point I wasn't 100% sure on what I wanted to do. I did not want those rocks up, but I also knew that with Torkoal down, my Stealth Rocks would be gone too, and I would not be able to bring them back. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to get rid of Donphan first or not. So I just go for Nature's Madness, because whatever comes in is going to have to take that. And he goes into Necrozma. Necrozma is the mon that I was scared of the most on his team, because that thing can definitely take hits, and I was just not 100% sure on what to do with it. I actually didn't have any super effective hitting moves on any of my mons for Necrozma, so that was definitely a bad thing. I was originally going to have Night Slash on Lanny, but I also realized that Lanny would not be taking any like hit in any way, shape, or form from Necrozma too well. So I just went for, I think I went for a Moonblast. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't see that. But he healed up in the end. I think I went for a Scald, actually. His Wiki Berry activated. He healed up. So I go for a Defog. He goes for Calm Mind. I go for another Nature's Madness. And he Calm Minds again. I did not want Tapu Fini going down at this point. I was afraid of it going down. So I switched into Atlas. He goes for another Moonlight. I knew this thing was probably going to be stalling me out in the end. So my best bet was really to just Ironhead it. I had to go for the Flinch Axe. That was really all I could do. So I took the chance. I basically had to hope that it would keep doing that. I knew this thing had Heat Wave. I knew it had a Heat Wave, so that was scary. So I had to just go for an Ironhead. I get the first flinch off. So at this point, I know that Ironhead's really all I can do. But I had to kind of double check what it could have possibly. I wasn't 100% sure if it would have anything really scary, but other than Heat Wave. So I go for an Ironhead. Unfortunately, it doesn't get the flinch. Heat Wave kills Atlas, and at this point, I have 2 Mons down. He still has his full team of 6, and there was a pretty good chance this thing was going to sweep me. There was a very big chance of this thing sweeping me, and at this point, I kind of realized that most of my Mons were not going to be taking it out. Like, nothing was going to Oko it for sure. I didn't have any guarantees for Okos, so I really just was kind of worried. I go into Escargot, and my best bet was to Outrage, but I did not. I was kind of I was hoping Escargot would come out, he would know it was Choice Banded, and that he would switch into it, but it didn't happen. So I went for an Earthquake, and Earthquake just barely lived, and he went for another Moonlight. So at this point, this thing was definitely probably going to sweep me. So I cut my losses and switched into Serenity the Togekiss, hoping that I could either live a hit or he would just set up another Calm Mind, which he ended up doing. And this is where the fun begins. I'm a bad person and I apologize for this. I went for an Air Slash, got the flinch. I went for another Air Slash, got the flinch. Went for a third Air Slash, got the flinch. And went for a final Air Slash and got the kill. So I'm telling you, I felt like shit for that. But that Necrozma was going to sweep us if I did not do that. So I got rid of the Necrozma. We weren't going to get 6-0'd. So that was good. Unfortunately, I was hoping that I could outspeed the Heatran in a Flash Cannon and completely demolish Serenity. But that Life Orb obviously kind of helped. We wouldn't have been doing as much damage, and we probably would have ended up getting unlucky if we had to have hit it harder and more times without a Life Orb. So Life Orb definitely helped us. I was surprised it did, but it ended up being useful. So at this point, I go into Tapwater because really most of his Mons are not really that big of a really scary thing for us. Most of them are just not in any way, shape, or form threatening. So really, I had nothing to worry about. So I go for Nature's Madness in hopes that if he switches out, something will be getting their health cut in half. But he stays in. Nature's Madness cuts his health in half. He went for a Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon didn't really do too much damage to us. It was not scary at all, really. Flash Cannon being neutral was definitely a big help. At this point, Heatran is probably going to die to any move that I use. So I go for a Scald, and he goes into Florges, and it lives. At this point, I kind of realized he was probably trying to sack it off because he probably realized Heatran would more than likely be better for him if it did not end up getting killed, and the Florges was just kind of not too useful. So he ended up sacking it off. At this point, not sure what he was really going for. My heart was pounding. I had managed to knock out 2 of his Mons. The Flash Cannon wasn't doing any damage. I go for a Scald to get the kill. At this point, We're even 3-3. All of his mons left are healthy, and really not too much of a issue. But he goes into his Hawlucha. Hawlucha, I wasn't sure what I should be afraid of coming from it, but he went for Swords Dance, which kind of surprised me, and I just kind of, you know, I killed it. I OHKO'd it. That was really kind of a surprise. He goes into the Donphan. At this point, Tapwater can take out all of his mons, so I go for a Scald, get the OHKO. His Abyssal comes out. Abysal's gonna go down to a Moonblast, and even if it didn't, both Escargot and Lanny would have been more than enough. He goes for a Stone Edge. I live, and he goes down. So that is it for week 5 of the GPL, guys. We are currently 3-2. Could be better, but obviously that's not always what happens. So with that, we are going into next week. I think we are taking on Cubowhack next week. So the LA Kingdras are our next victims. Well, actually, we're the LA Kingdras' next victims, more than likely. So with that, I hope you guys did enjoy this. Shout out to Gavin. I feel like absolute shit thinking, like, knowing that I had to use the flinch hacks to really do anything, or like even prevent the sweep. But I had, like, in the end, I did have to kind of do what I had to do. This is actually the first time that's really come into any real help other than against Yellow. It did come into help with Yellow against the Jellicent. Not that it really did too much, because the Jellicent, I think, went down, but then we still kind of got completely demolished. So with that, we are moving on to week 6 against the LA Kingdras. If you guys are hyped for that, make sure you do smash that like button. If you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and get positive right in the PC party. Share it with your friends, follow me on Twitter at PCBloodMaster, join the Discord, link is down below. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I am PCBloodMaster, and I will see you guys next time.